The biggest show on earth, the greatest spectacle in the history of sports entertainment. WrestleMania 40 has officially come to a close, and it has lived up to every iota of hype possible. From epic matches, phenomenal celebrity appearances, returns that made grown adults scream, and title changes that elicited emotion to anyone watching, there is one thing that is for sure. The Paul Levesque era has officially hit its stride. Welcome to the WrestleMania recap edition of Penn State Sports Night. I'm the wise man, Joey David, joined alongside my tribal chief, Adrianna Gallucci, where we're going to talk our favorite matches of this past weekend and why we love them so much. So without further ado, Adrianna, we're going to go right into it. We got your top five. We got my top five. What was your top five matches, starting at number 5 for this weekend?
Well, before we even start, thank you for still acknowledging me as your tribal chief, and we'll get to the tribal chief in just a few minutes. But starting off, Sami Zayn defeating Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. A lot of people were upset that Sami Zayn was in this match over Chad Gable, and Chad Gable and Gunther had a ton of history on Monday Night Raw. Chad Gable almost defeating Gunther for that title a while back, but Chad Gable worked for the greater good, trained Sami Zayn for this fight, and the thing about Sami Zayn, he's the underdog. He's been the underdog since his time in NXT, and his character has really developed, and he's turned into this lovable underdog that fans just love to root for. I did not think Sami Zayn was going to be able to pull it off. I really wanted him to, and then actually watching that match, watching him hit the brain buster on Gunther, that's when I knew that Sami Zayn honestly really had that dog in him as the underdog and was able to defeat Gunther. That ends Gunther's historic Intercontinental title reign, 666 days as the Intercontinental title, and man, what a run it has been for Gunther. But you have a different number 5 than I do. Let's hear yours.
Obviously, after I have Sami Zayn up just one more spot, and I'll go back to talking to him after this. But the tag team ladder match was just so much fun. I loved it. I loved the idea of it. The way they split up the tag titles, having it be the two kind of like title matches in one match was amazing. And I love the idea, and I think it's something that they should have done a while ago. And having the Awesome Truth, R-Truth, finally get his hot tag in the ladder match, win the Raw Tag Team Championships, his first WrestleMania win is awesome for a guy who's been around as much as R-Truth. And then A-Town Down Under, winning those SmackDown tag titles, them now being with Logan Paul, them having all the gold. That's a nice little stable that I'm really excited to see. And those are two very good wrestlers that I'm excited to see from. Now I'll go back up to Sami and Gunther. That brainbuster was one of the few times I legitimately jumped in the air. It was insane. I don't think I've ever seen that move hit that way before, and that just shows how good these two are. I never would have thought that Sami Zayn would be the guy to dethrone Gunther, but I see why they did it now, and it works amazing. Gunther is so good in ring. He's going to be amazing with whatever he does, and Sami Zayn's going to be the same way with his title run.
Definitely. Now it sets up Sami Zayn for that singles run we haven't really seen since WWE split up the tag team of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens was out competing for titles, competed for the U.S. title actually in WrestleMania, ended up losing to Logan Paul, which, we're not even going to talk about on this segment. Poor Kevin. Yes, exactly. Though he did pick up Randy Orton in his golf cart, and that was pretty cool.
Kevin Owens in a golf cart is always funny.
Definitely. Hey, look up the Roman Reigns Kevin Owens clip if you don't know what we're talking about. But that was pretty awesome. Now, moving on to my number 4, had to be the opener for Mania. Rhea Ripley defeating Becky Lynch to retain the Women's World Championship. They are the two best women in the business right now. The man, Becky Lynch, versus mommy, Rhea Ripley. They had Motionless in White come out and do Rhea Ripley's theme, which honestly was a great way to kick off WrestleMania. They came out, they were both dealing with some adversity backstage, but were able to put on a stellar performance. Rhea Ripley, the most dominant woman in WWE right now. She's just too popular and too hot to lose that title right now, but important to note, Becky Lynch hasn't re-signed yet with WWE, and her contract is going to be running out. So interesting to see if maybe she'll take some time off, spend some time at home, and just sort of regroup and recover, and then come back stronger than ever. But we're going to head over to number 3, staying on the theme with the women's title, Bayley and Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. I'm really upset that this didn't main event night 1. I'm going to be completely honest. Bayley and Io and the whole Damage Control storyline was so great. It's been basically a year and a half in the making. And I understand the significance of having the tag team be the main event of night 1, especially with the main event of night 2. But I feel like Bayley and Io deserve so much more. The master versus the protege. Bayley was she put her heart and her soul into Damage Control. She sacrificed everything so that Io Sky and Dakota Kai could really become the top-notch wrestlers that they are. And then they went and they turned on her. And Bayley became that face we haven't seen her be for a really long time. She became the role model, and I would argue that she was the biggest baby face, maybe behind Cody Rhodes, coming into this Mania season. But they went out, they were the match before the main event of Night 2, and they put on an absolute heater of a match. And if the main event of Night 2 didn't happen, I think that was the loudest that the Link got.
Honestly, I fully agree. The one thing that I love about Bayley, now having that turn to babyface, is the crowd just feeds right into Bayley. They have their songs, they have their chants, their cheers and jeers for Bayley. It's a part of that spectacle that only wrestling has. And that match was phenomenal. They are two very, very talented superstars. And it was Bayley's time. She was due, and Io Sky will be right back in there very soon. Going on to my number 3, you got it at number 2. We'll spend a little bit of time on this one. The opener of Night 2. Seth Rollins finally losing his title to Drew McIntyre in a great match. It was a good, I would call it a spot fest. It was very brutal, a lot of finishers being hit, a lot of Drew taking advantage of Seth's injuries that he's been sustaining over the couple months, and Drew won, which made sense. But Drew winning wasn't really what was big. It's what happened afterward that gets it up there for me, and I feel like it did the same with you. Drew walked around, he was parading, he was taunting CM Punk, who's supposed to have a really bad injury to his arm, and CM Punk on commentary gets up, swipes Drew McIntyre's leg, beats him up to the point where Mr. Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, finally cashes in for the second time in WrestleMania that it's happened. And it was phenomenal. They did so well with that. The story can go so many different ways, and I love what they're doing here.
Definitely nobody thought Damian Priest was going to be able to cash in on that,
Including
myself
us.
included. Damian Priest is the longest men's Money in the Bank contract holder to not have cashed in that briefcase. So definitely making history one way or another, but I really like that the Judgment Day is going to have more gold on them. I think it's going to be extremely interesting, and we've been seeing some cracks in the Judgment Day. Dom Mysterio working with Andrade El Idolo at one point, and then teaming up with Santos Escobar to take on his father and Andrade at WrestleMania. And the question is what's going to happen with Finn Balor now that he doesn't have any gold, but that is a lot of talk for another time because we don't have that time right now. So that was my number 2, but at this point, I guess we have to talk about your number 2, the tag match. Roman Reigns and The Rock defeating Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. I don't even have that on my board because there were so many great matches, so I'll just let you take that one.
Absolutely, and there are so many honorable mentions that probably would be on here for every other WrestleMania, but this was like Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1 to the Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 2. It was just such a great prelude to what would then become the end of Roman's reign, the Tribal Chief story that would happen on Night 2. Just seeing The Rock back in ring again, somebody who probably everybody on the planet knows who he is. But The Rock spent his time being at that spectacle, which shows how great and mainstream the WWE is nowadays. And the match was great. It had everything you expected. And honestly, I think The Rock overperformed. I think Seth sold his injuries. The loss made just all the sense in the world. And I loved this match. And there's a reason why I love this match, and it's our number 1. Probably, and I'll go on record and say it, the best WrestleMania main event ever.
I agree with you.
It had all the bells and whistles, all the returns. John Cena came back had our own Anthony Desher jumping up and down, screaming, texting me in all caps. The Undertaker came back. It was everything. And I'm going to let you take the Shield part because I know you love the Shield. But it was just everything it needed to culminate the best title reign in recent history.
Well, I love the Shield, and you actually texted me when the Shield hit asking if I thought Jon Moxley was going to come back, and yes, I thought that Jon Moxley, or Dean Ambrose, however you want to refer to him as, was going to walk down the stairs, but that was the perfect setup. You think about it this way. Roman is in the ring, and he has the chair in his hand. He could either hit Cody and finish Cody's story for him or retain, or finally get revenge on Seth Rollins for what he did to him and his Shield brother 10 years ago. And ultimately, yes, Cody pinned Roman, but Roman really morally lost to Seth Rollins. He can't get over this terrible thing that happened to him 10 years ago, and that grudge he holds from his past is the reason why he ended up losing his 1,316-day-long title reign. It's absolutely poetic, and if you're just getting into professional wrestling, it's so incredibly beautiful, and you have to check something like that out. It was amazing how they were able to do that. And watching it, it didn't really make a lot of sense that Seth Rollins came out, pretty much took a chair shot and then laid out for the rest of the match. But thinking about it again and then thinking about it in that deeper context, absolutely amazing. Incredibly well done.
It's fully just poetry in motion. And with the Raw after WrestleMania happening as we speak, Adrianna and I will find out what happens next for all of our favorite superstars and stories. As we come to our final 3 count of what will finish my story of talking wrestling here at Penn State Sports Night, I would like to thank Adrianna Gallucci for being here with me, as well as all of you for watching. Thank you again, and have a great night.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.